It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, answer. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Welcome into the Full Court Press second hour here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan, streaming online at 1069thefan.com and on the 1069 The Fan mobile app. Also available pretty much wherever you can get podcasts. You can find it on our website and on our mobile app, our podcast feed of the Full Court Press, but pretty much wherever you can find them, just search for the Full Court Press. My name, Jason Walker or Eric Frandsen. You should be able to find us. Shouldn't be too difficult. A lot of men's basketball talk in the first hour. Utah State, they're taking on Memphis tomorrow, 6 p.m. tip, as the Aggies are looking to get their 22nd win of the season. Utah State, they, with the win a couple of games ago, they got their, sixth 20-win season in the last, 7 years, something to that effect. Just continued winning. Seventh 20-win season in their last 8 seasons. So that's not bad, I guess.
Yeah, that's good.
Could be a lot worse. There's some teams who would really like that kind of success.
Absolutely.
Especially with 4 different head coaches in that time. So the Aggies doing pretty well this season. We previewed some of the matchups in the Mountain West, talked about, Boise State, UNLV, Nevada, San Diego State. That's, a really interesting one where Nevada has basically been just on the cusp of, you just got to beat one of the contending teams. You're clearly one of the best teams, but when they faced the Aggies, they lost. When they faced, San Diego State at home earlier this season, they lost. They just can't seem to beat the best teams in the conference. They also have a loss to New Mexico. They have a loss at Boise State, obviously, just this last week. So it's Nevada can blow out Air Force. They can blow out San Jose. They even beat, Grand Canyon at home. They blew out UNLV. They got all these wins, but they can't be the top team. And this is where San Diego State kind of gets one of their last chances. They do also have a game at home against Utah State and New Mexico, but they're running out of chances to really show that they can be a contending team.
For Nevada, this is they've got a decent roster. There's some things with their roster that I like. I think this is a pretty good basketball team, pretty good basketball program. They're good enough to be in the top of the middle tier, but they're just not quite good enough to be a contender.
Yeah.
They're not that far away though, so there's still a couple more weeks here of play where things could still shift. So Nevada wants to try to be in contention, to be in the conversation for an at-large team to the NCAA tournament. But San Diego State is also in the discussion as only being an at-large team for the NCAA tournament. So the Aztecs, they still need to stack wins in order to be, to secure their spot. Because right now, there's a good number of brackets don't have the Aztecs in that only have Utah State as the representative from the Mountain West.
Yeah, I think the last time I checked Bracket Matrix, I don't know if it's been updated for today. I don't know if it would change that much since the last time I checked it, but San Diego State was just barely in, either the last team or one of the last 2 teams to make it in, only in about half the brackets. New Mexico, fairly firmly in the last 4 out. I think they were barely inside the last 4 out. They were on 18 brackets. So San Diego State and New Mexico, they got to stack wins. If honestly, when you look at Nevada and Boise State, those are 2 teams where it's they're not getting in. They're not getting an at-large bid. I know that Joe Lunardi might have them as the 17th team, just outside the bracket or whatever. Nevada and Boise State are not getting at-large bids. So for them, this last part of the season is play spoiler as much as you can. And for Nevada and even New Mexico to a degree, you still are kind of mathematically in this. Utah State and San Diego State both stumble a couple of times, which Nevada and New Mexico play both San Diego State and Utah State, so they can play a factor in that. Those two teams stumble. Hey, maybe you can have a chance to share the regular season title, but more importantly, conference tournament offers
it's a whole new season.
Yeah, and they offer a ticket to the NCAA tournament, no strings attached.
That's right. So if you're playing your best ball for 3 days or 4 days in March down in Las Vegas, that's your ticket. And, for Utah State, outside of their game this weekend, like every other game on the schedule is, if they lose, it's not a bad loss.
Yeah.
So Utah State, not to say that they can afford to just take a game off. They never want to do that. But if they do happen to lose, it doesn't look bad for them if they lose.
Yeah.
There's not a landmine game in there that can really disrupt their chance of being an at-large team. Not that Memphis is could really bring them down and be that catalyst, but their metrics aren't that great, like we detailed last hour. But beyond that, every other game they have on the schedule are against good teams, with teams with good metrics. But San Diego State, New Mexico, Nevada, Boise, all those teams, they still have work to do. I think Utah State, they're pretty much into the category of firmly in. Not totally there, but they're about as close as you can get.
Yeah.
Everybody else, they all have work to do.
Yeah, Utah State is firmly in, aside from having a late collapse. Like if Utah State continues on the trajectory they're at over the last 6 games, they're in.
Yep.
Even before considering what may happen. Like if Utah State doesn't have more than 1 loss, heck, even 2 losses in these last 6 games, they're probably in. Like 2 losses, they're starting to get towards the bubble, and you start looking at what maybe happens in the conference tournament. But if they only lose 1 game the rest of the way, they're in. But yeah, for San Diego State and New Mexico, if they lose 1 more game, like that's going to keep them on the bubble, and a lot of their fortunes in the NCAA tournament will come down to what they do in the conference tournament, especially if one of them manages to win the conference tournament. So that's kind of a look at the Mountain West and where things are sitting, especially with bracketology and with this weekend's games.
I guess I should clarify one thing. Utah State does play at UNLV.
Yeah.
In the last week of the regular season.
It's still a quad 2 game.
It's a quad 2 game, but beyond that, everybody else that they play is in the top 75 of the net. So the Memphis game Saturday,
opponents.
Right? Yeah, the game on Saturday against Memphis, the game at UNLV on March 3rd. Utah State needs to win those games to avoid looking like not a bad loss, but an underperforming performance, just not looking good against a team that you should beat. Every other game that's on the schedule from here on out, if they lose, it's not catastrophic.
Yeah. So let's transition toward college football. There's a couple of different things to talk about. There's probably 3 different things we could bring up, but 2 kind of major ones. And the first has to do with the thing that our show is truly all about. The one thing that, takes precedence over everything else that we do.
We've got some significant breaking news tonight.
We got some breaking news.
The latest in conference realignment on the Conference Realignment and Expansion Show.
Yes, it's conference realignment.
Expansion.
Yeah, and expansion. The mighty Maction is getting a new contender.
They lost their Western Front.
Yeah, the Western Front
Northern Illinois.
Of Illinois, the mighty Western Power.
So let's replace it by going 1,800 miles even further west to Sacramento.
Sacramento State. We talked about, this is a rumor kind of last week where they were trying to talk with the MAC because the Mountain West and Pac-12 didn't want them.
They were offering $10 million for an invitation.
Yeah.
And it didn't appear to be going anywhere, at least not for those 2 Western-based conferences. So they started looking further east. We'll give you $10 million. Just please take us. And then news over the weekend that Mountain West is going to accept North Dakota State into their conference for $12.5 million. So Sacramento State went back to the drawing board and came up with another $5 million. They're offering $15 million to go to the MAC.
Yeah. So Sacramento State, for the ultimate prize of being a California-based team in the MAC, they will have to pay $20 million in total. As you mentioned, $15 million, or I've seen some that say more than 15, so it's probably like $15 million and change, much like North Dakota State's ended up being $12.5 million. Sacramento State will pay $15 million to the MAC. Probably fairly similar, in a similar fashion to what North Dakota State is doing, where they're paying about half of it up front, and then they'll pay the rest in installment. I imagine Sacramento State's going to pay a lot of that in installment, but it could involve a pretty big upfront fee. But $15 million to the MAC, and then $5 million to the NCAA, is that's the fee to go from FCS to FBS. As of a couple years ago, they raised that from it was again like $5 or $50,000. They've raised it by like 3 orders of magnitude.
Yeah, it was pretty cheap to move up, and then they really tried to slow that down.
Yeah, but 2 teams have basically bribed their way into FBS. You have the Mountain West, which is kind of desperate for cash, as they believe that they have a big windfall coming from the Pac-12, but whether or not that's coming, it's all tied up. And they've got to send out cash to, pay $3.5 million to a bunch of their legacy members. Some of that coming from the new media deal, but some of it also coming from the Mountain West. They've got to come up with that money somehow. They've also got to pay the bribe money to UNLV and Air Force. So they needed cash, and so that's a big reason why I believe North Dakota State is coming to the conference, is they were willing to pay cash. The Mountain West needed cash. And I wouldn't say that the MAC was desperate for cash, but Eric, if someone came up to you and said, hey, I want to be employed by this company, jury's out on whether or not I'll be much of a contributor. I don't know, maybe I'll drag things down, but I'll give you $15 million. Will you employ me? And
not just that. Not just that. I will give you money to employ me, and you don't have to pay me.
Yeah. So would you take that back?
Like, okay. All right.
So the MAC's probably like, all right, we just fell backwards into $15 million.
And they don't and the part of this deal, reportedly, Ross Dellinger reporting on this from Yahoo Sports, is that in a similar situation like North Dakota State, Sacramento State will forego conference distributions. We don't know what that time frame looks like, but they're giving a lot of money and willing to say, we won't accept anything in return. Yeah. We just desperately want to be an FBS program.
So here's the thing. After all this, spending $20 million and not getting conference distributions, what the heck are you getting out of this if you're Sacramento State? What is the justification for $20 million of essentially taxpayer and, student money to go to, so that Sacramento State's president and AD can finally sit back in their desk and say, yes, we're an FBS?
They're annoying. Those guys are annoying, but I have to give them credit for having a vision and aggressively pursuing it.
But what's the end goal of the vision?
Right. So they're forking over all this money. They're not going to get any coming back. They still need to make significant upgrades to their facilities. And maybe that's part of the advantage of going to the MAC versus the Mountain West or the Pac-12, because those conferences would very clearly state, these are other financial things that you need to do to get on par with competing in our league. And we don't know the details from the MAC, but they're probably less stringent on that than the Mountain West and the Pac-12. But the Sacramento State has made lots of overtures. They've made a lot of news here lately, the last few years, about all the things they're willing to do and all the money they have coming in that's pledged. But now that maybe they have this official invitation that comes to them, that money starts to materialize. But there's been a lot of talk out of Sacramento. Finally, it looks like they're going to finally get the invitation they've so desperately wanted.
Yeah, I just don't see the benefit of spending that much money. Like, and I don't mean to demean the MAC when I say this, but like, you're not making a whole lot of money there. if you're in the MAC, like, yeah, you're there and you've got a slice of paradise there in the Ohio Valley and beyond, the home of football. That's pretty much where, especially pro football originated, is right there in the middle of MAC country.
I mean, can you name more than 2 teams out of the MAC?
Well, now that you've said that, I can't name a single one. Central Michigan. This is the problem. You tell me, and then I suddenly can't think of Kent State, Kennesaw State, I believe, is in the MAC.
Not as a football. Kennesaw State, well, not as a football playing school.
Are they not? Or are they in Conference USA?
They must be in Conference USA.
Well, Kent State's in the MAC. Ohio, aren't they in the MAC? Or are they in?
Yeah, no, you're doing pretty
Ohio.
good. Directional Michigan schools.
Yeah, Central Michigan
and
Eastern,
Western.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, I recognize most of the names in the MAC. Just when you tell me, it's like if you try and tell me to name all the NBA teams, I suddenly can't remember a single NBA team.
Yeah, so Northern Illinois was their westernmost school.
I know that's the one that kept popping into my head. It was like, okay, Northern Illinois, but they just left, so I can't remember that one.
It's about 80 miles outside of Chicago.
Yeah.
Their easternmost school is UMass.
I didn't realize UMass was in the MAC.
UMass, Buffalo. And then you've got, as we mentioned, a number of schools in the state of Ohio: Miami, Ohio, Akron, Kent State, Toledo, Bowling Green, and Ball State. Then you got a number of schools in Michigan. So for them, they're pretty geographically, it makes sense. Like, there's a lot of those games. Those probably just get on a bus to get to those games. But now Sacramento State will literally have to fly across the country multiple times. And those schools will have to fly all the way out to the West Coast. Now, multiple times.
Yeah, and
it's weird.
I just don't understand that. If you're a team in the MAC, like, again, that is a nice little deal. It's a small part of college football, but again, it's a small geographical area. It was kind of the last bastion of true geographical conferences. And now you throw Sacramento State in there. And again, Sacramento State, what the heck are you getting out of this? Like, at what point do you make back the potentially $30 to $40 million you're going to have to spend on this whole move to the FBS? At what point do you make that money back? If ever.
If ever.
It might take...
Student fees are going to go up.
I might die before Sacramento State makes enough revenue to justify this move. And I talk about me dying in my 80s. Like, and hopefully not in the next few weeks. But it's like, seriously, I might grow old and die before Sacramento State makes back a penny, or makes back breaking even on this whole thing, much less actually benefiting financially from it.
I can't fault them for having a vision, but at some point,
is the vision the MAC though?
Being a visionary, or having seeing a vision, or having hallucinations.
Yeah,
and I think what's happening in Sacramento is they're having hallucinations,
delusions, really.
Yeah, and just I don't know if they're drug induced or what, but this just is a really expensive gamble that surprises me that they have that much institutional support to continue to push for this. And maybe that's just they really do have access to all this money that we just are not giving credit to, but
money that can be very smartly used on, like, becoming a better school.
Yeah, like they're not even that great in the FCS.
Yeah,
like, North Dakota State has a massive track record of success.
Yeah, North Dakota State last year, if you look at SP Plus, was basically on par with the top end of the Mountain West and new Pac-12. Sacramento State, like, you have people that say, oh, if you go back 5 years, they have like a few, 10-plus win seasons. I mean, that's about as good as Utah State going back and saying, hey, we won a Mountain West championship in 2021. Okay, but how good were you the last 4 or 5 years? Not as good. And for Sacramento State, they had a losing season last year, if I remember, and I think a barely winning season the year before that. So it's like, are you going to?
They're definitely they're fast talking, cable network, late night salesperson. Like, if we talk enough and hype it enough, then the money will come.
Yeah,
I mean, the product is probably something that's fell off the truck, off the shelf, that nobody cares about anymore. So this is the only way we can let people know about it.
Yeah.
But if we sell enough, then maybe we can actually build it.
Yeah, for their sake. And I never want to root for somebody to lose in this case. I talk about how, dumb of a financial thing it sounds like, but I do hope that Sacramento State finds success in the MAC, mainly because I don't want to be 5-10 years down the road and see Sacramento State having basically Kent State's record over the last 5-6 seasons, and have that be what Sacramento State does in FBS. and them have spent $20 million for the privilege. Because paying $20 million to be a bottom feeder in the MAC would be a heck of a legacy. Because I know that, again, their president, AD, will write on their tombstones, we got Sacramento State into the FBS. But I really hope they don't have to add a postscript of, and here's our record in FBS, 5-138. Like, I don't want to see that. Because it's just, again, it's why I kind of root for North Dakota State as well. You don't want to see them spend this much money and be terrible. Yeah,
but you know what? Going to the MAC, there's not a lot of great football happening in the MAC.
It's fun though. It's basically, they're all regionally connected to each other, and that's great for their area and their region. But you look at is a team out of the MAC perennially in the discussion for the college football playoff or going to a big bowl game? Yeah, no.
Like
I said, it's like the one bid leagues in college basketball. They are a league unto themselves. They have obviously their own passionate fan base. It's a small fan base, and that's why there's not much money. It's why there's not a ton of support. But I don't want to degrade the MAC at all, because you don't want to look at the MAC like the way that the power conferences look at the Mountain West, because you know what that feels like. We don't want to look down on the MAC just because they're a little bit smaller. But it just doesn't make sense for Sacramento State to go over there.
No, the Sun Belt would make more sense.
Yeah, Sun Belt, Conference USA, but the MAC, you're going to be it's why I keep emphasizing a California-based school in the MAC. 'Cause it's not whether or not Sacramento State should be in the MAC, whether they belong, or the MAC being this, small conference. It's the fact that it's Sacramento State trying to be part of a geographical conference that again, it's small, but it works. What it is, it works, and it is, again, a small little slice of small-time college football, and that is something that is worth it to itself. But trying to staple on Sacramento State to that just doesn't feel right.
No, but with football, it's not like the travel concerns like you'd have for a lot of the other Olympic sports.
Yeah, it's not as bad, but still
or even basketball. It's once a week. You're going to travel anyway.
Yeah, once every other week if you're lucky.
Yeah, true. So, but still, it's 2,000 miles away now, at least at minimum.
Yeah, you'll go cross country if you go play UMass.
For UMass, right? Yeah. So, oh my gosh,
coast to coast.
But hey, you know what? If you're going to flash $15 million in my face and say I don't need anything back in return, how do you turn that down?
I don't blame the MAC
especially when
one
you
bit.
just lost a football playing member.
Yeah,
it's well, okay, we'll backfill that. We'll replace another school. We're to our same number. We don't have to do anything crazy with scheduling to come up with some other weird, unbalanced schedule. Everything's the same like we've done it. We just got that other school that's 2,500 miles away.
Yeah, so it'll be a minor inconvenience for the $15 million price tag revenue coming in. Let's take a quick break. We got some text coming in on the Young Power Sports of Logan text line. If you want to chime in on any of these topics, text 435-339-0321.
Hi, this is Ashley with LSS Insurance. Medicare can seem complicated, but it doesn't have to be. Let us help. We'll answer all your questions and get you specific information that fits your needs. Medicare is not one size fits all. We'll help you find the right coverage for you. Call 752-9493. You can ignore the TV and the junk mail. We'll get you the exact information you need. We will help you access the benefits that are important to you. Call LSS Insurance at 752-9493.
Fall in love all over again this Valentine's at the Riverwood Sweetheart Soiree. Join us February 14th from 6 to 9 p.m. for an unforgettable evening of romance. Enjoy a gourmet prime rib buffet complete with irresistible sweetheart desserts. Savor every moment while enjoying live music from Kellen and Kendall, setting the perfect mood for the evening. And sip and smile with an all-you-can-drink soda bar. Make this Valentine's more than dinner. Make it an experience at the Riverwood Sweetheart Soiree. Visit riverwoodsvalentinebuffet.planningpod.com. riverwoodsvalentinebuffet.planningpod.com.
Hey, it's JD here, and with the new year comes that familiar feeling of wanting a fresh start. We all make resolutions: eat better, be healthier, do better, but for some, the resolution that matters most is getting sober. That's why I want to tell you about Renaissance Ranch. They specialize in a faith-based, clinically proven addiction recovery. They know what it takes to break free for good. Call or visit RenaissanceRanch.net and make this the year that addiction no longer controls your story. Renaissance Ranch, hope, healing, and recovery.
Express your love for her this Valentine's Day by presenting a piece of diamond jewelry from S.E. Needham Jewelers. Diamond jewelry makes a woman feel cherished. A pair of beautiful diamond earrings will add to the sparkle in her eyes. Adorned in diamond earrings, she will feel elegant and appreciated. Choose from a large selection of quality diamond earrings, all specially priced for Valentine's Day. Remember, diamonds from S.E. Needham's will be noticed from across the room, and everyone will know she's yours. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
Breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Indoor air in our area can be up to 5 times dirtier than outdoor air, especially during the dry winter months. Dry air keeps dust and allergens floating longer, sending them deeper into your lungs and making sickness more likely. Mountain Valley Heating and Air installs high-efficiency steam humidifiers that use 1 gallon of water with no waste to improve air quality. Call 435-753-5170 for a free in-home air quality assessment from Mountain Valley Heating and Air. And you do not appreciate how difficult it is to actually say in-home air quality assessment.
Bit of a tongue twister there.
Except it's not the tongue. Like, I don't even know if I use my tongue much in
how to
saying
move
those
your
words.
mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. It's also like the back of your throat. Because I keep wanting to say in-home like hair quality assessment,
Ooh,
which is, that's more for like JD. Gotta
with that beard that he's got going on. Yeah.
So it moved from the top of his head to the bottom of his head. So on the Young Power Sports with Logan text line, if you want to chime in on any of our topics here, 435-339-0321. A few texts coming in, 8968. This is talking about the Aggies basketball. We previewed them a lot in the first hour of their game against Memphis. But on that topic saying, I saw a line today that the Aggies are the 4th-rated mid-major team in the nation. I know there are some mid-major rankings. I know like Mid-Major Madness and a few others will do a mid-major specific. And yeah, Utah State is usually up there.
I don't know if they still consider Gonzaga mid-major.
Yeah,
at this
some
point,
some usually stop counting Gonzaga, but Utah State.
But you'd have St. Louis. You probably have Miami on there.
Miami of Ohio.
Yeah, they don't like you to say of Ohio.
Well, they can shove it.
And then Utah State. So I could see if they include Gonzaga, I could see how Utah State would be 4th on that list.
Yeah. So, and you obviously San Diego State up there. So yeah, some pretty good teams. Of course, Miami, still I think outside of the top 100 in the net, or I can't remember where they're at, but they're like, I refer to them kind of tongue in cheek as like the worst undefeated team I've ever seen, but it's because I don't think they have a single quad 1 or quad 2 win.
I will let you know here. Give me
All
one
right,
second.
we'll do that research. I'll read a couple more texts here.
They're 51 in the net.
Oh, that's, yeah, I guess being undefeated.
But they do not have a quad 1 game on their schedule. Only had 1 quad 2 game.
Oh, they do have a quad 2 win. Okay,
which they beat Akron by 3 points.
5338 saying, for all the NASCAR fans out there, I look forward to the Full Court Press's in-depth breakdown of this weekend's Daytona 500. It is spelled like that, 100. Probably pronounced like that, too, in the broadcast. You're more likely to get from me a breakdown of WEC and IMSA races than you are NASCAR.
Turn left.
Yeah, turn left. Turn left. That's a tri-oval in Daytona. It's a little tricky. I like Daytona's, I suddenly forgot the term. The inner course, the road course, that's what it is. The infield. I like the Daytona road course a lot more than the tri-oval.
Yeah.
Eric doesn't even know what I'm talking about, but
cars going fast. The thing I will say about NASCAR that's kind of fun is that their cars do bump into each other, and
do they?
Well, and how they like in F1, like you really don't. There's not much contact.
Yeah,
I mean there can be, and it's on tires.
NASCAR is incredibly bunched together in a way that F1 just usually they're like in a line with each other. In NASCAR they're like 3 or 4 wide. all going around in circles, though.
Yeah. So to see like car movement within the course of the race and managing a crowded field, that can be kind of fun to watch with NASCAR.
Yeah.
But that's about as much of an analysis of NASCAR as you'll get from me.
But it is turn left, and I don't understand there are nuances of stock car racing, and of course not stock car anymore because they're all spec cars. But there's nuances to oval racing. I don't understand any of them, and so I can't appreciate it. But I know some people do appreciate it, and so I have respect for NASCAR. I just don't personally understand it, and I'm not able to get into it as much.
Yeah.
And I'm still...
But after watching a lot of F1 races, and then you watch like a NASCAR race, like, my gosh, it takes them forever to change tires.
Well, it's because they only...
Holy cow, they're slow.
Yeah, well, it's because they have they used to have like the 6 or 8 bolts or something like that, and F1 has the 1. Of course, now I think NASCAR switched to the 1 big, central bolt, but so it's a little faster. But there are a lot of reasons why pit stops are faster or slower, and it usually just comes down to what are the rules.
Yeah.
F1 basically anything goes, and so they can do it in like 1 second.
Yeah, it's insane how quickly they can pit and get back out.
Some racing series, you literally change drivers, and so you can't really get in and out in 1 second.
That's true.
So moving back, well, actually 5338. Another text here saying the 5338 Sports Reeducation Academy and Think Tank wishes to commend NBA Commissioner Adam Hi-Ho Silver for levying a $500,000 fine against the Jazz. We urge him to levy much harsher fines in the future to protect the integrity of the game. When people pay good money to go watch the Jazz, they expect a team to put in a maximum effort to win and not roll over and play possum. Full speed ahead, Commissioner.
Look, there was a lot of noise this week coming into the All-Star break, and Adam Silver is going to do a press conference this weekend.
Yeah, State of the League press conference or whatever.
And everybody's going to ask him a variety of different topics, and clearly tanking will be one of those things that will be discussed. So he had to do something ahead of his press conference to say, look, hey, we take this seriously, and we're going to levy fines.
I want the ones...
What happened is so ridiculous. Like, okay, you handed out a fine because some players for Sacramento, active players should have played, healthy players should have played, but they didn't. But what they did against Utah is silly.
Yeah, the one thing, and Ryan Smith kind of pointed this out, and others have pointed out, Utah, like the fine that was levied, it referenced the game against Miami. Utah won that game.
Yeah.
Utah was literally fined basically $250,000. I think they referenced 2 games, $500,000, so $250,000 essentially for winning a basketball game with the wrong players.
Right? Are you starting to open a door where you're dictating player rotations?
Yeah,
and how many minutes guys should play?
Yeah. And it's come out later that Jaren Jackson, like they found out about that growth in his knee that needs to be removed, and he was literally on a minutes restriction. Now, it wasn't publicly stated that that was the case, but he was on a minutes restriction. It so happened that they played him regularly until the third quarter and then cap it at 25. Now, Lauri wasn't on a minutes restriction, so yeah, that's some shenanigans the Jazz are pulling, but still, like there was a legitimate reason for Jaren Jackson Jr., who was cited as one of the players that they were supposed to be, that you can't sit that guy. So the Jazz were literally fined $250,000 for winning a game.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch the national media on this. Like, it started to pick up a lot of steam and became the national story for people to discuss and dumping on the Jazz. Like, how dare they?
And it comes out later that it was because Oklahoma City was sending out storylines to all the
and that's kind of how
listen.
it started to pivot. Is like Oklahoma City's the one that's really upset about this. Well, wait a minute. Oklahoma City used these same tactics just a few years ago to ensure their spot to get a top pick.
Yeah, as Draymond Green said, it ain't so fun when the bunny has the gun.
Yeah, exactly.
Draymond Green was the voice of reason the other day, and that I can't stand that. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Draymond Green saying something actually reasonable.
I know.
This world's going
crazy.
To crap.
And I posted this on social earlier, but I appreciated on this radio station, on Fox Sports Radio, they opened the Stugatz and Company show. Now, granted, it was Dan Byer filling in, but they opened the show defending the Utah Jazz, and literally mocking NBA media for how they're collectively losing their minds over this topic. It's like, look, this is how the system is. There is the incentive. The incentive is too great. You have to do this. It's just that Utah found or utilized a different wrinkle that everybody's losing their minds over. But it also, I think it illustrates what's going on behind the scenes in the NBA. That Oklahoma City kind of trying to direct the talking points on this.
They're planting narratives with all their whatever media buddies they have.
And how close the NBA is tied in with gambling. If you see Utah and Orlando, Utah, Miami, like you're probably going to be betting one way. And
there's also live betting that plays into this too.
Live betting, right? That changes over the course of the game. You see through 2 quarters, now through 3 quarters, Utah's 2 guys who've been in an all-star game or playing good basketball. Well, Utah's probably going to win this game.
Yeah, but bet on the spread starting in the 3rd quarter. What's it going to finish at?
And then in the 4th quarter, things change, and these gamblers are losing their minds.
Yeah, the gambling companies too.
Yeah.
Because it's not the integrity of the game, it's the integrity of the gambling companies that they're worried about. And, they're basically having a gambling panel at the NBA All-Star break. Like a bunch of people.
A technology conference.
Yeah.
And it's all a big chunk of it's about gambling.
It's a bunch of, executives at Kalshi and FanDuel. And Kalshi is one of them I know, but probably FanDuel and DraftKings. And,
prediction markets.
Yeah, they call it prediction markets, but it's gambling.
Yeah.
Because that's what a prediction market is. It's gambling because Kalshi tries to pretend they're a stock trading company when they're a gambling company. That's why you can, I'm not going to get into that. But, yeah, it's all this crap. And it basically, Adam Silver is, becoming a puppet to gambling. And, he's technically already supposed to be a puppet of the owners, but, like, maybe less of a puppet and actually have a bit of a spine like Roger Goodell sometimes has. Like, actually try and fight for good things. But, yeah, it's becoming increasingly obvious that Adam Silver just doesn't know how to do anything right for the NBA. I don't know if he's, like, actively sabotaging the league, like, through incompetence. Like, some people paint him as this terrible villain, and it's like, I don't think he's that.
I don't think he's that.
He's just incompetent. That's what it is. And incompetent people aren't evil. They're just incompetent.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is.
Right. Yeah. It's a lawyer parading around as a basketball fan.
Yeah. Well, a lawyer should be able to, figure out these things. Like, they're supposed to be smart. They're supposed to be able to handle these kind of nuanced situations. And he just keeps stumbling backwards into, again, it's his league. The NBA and all this stuff with gambling, his is the one, at least of the pro leagues, that is having a problem with gambling.
Yeah.
Like, the NFL will every now and again have a player that's suspended for placing bets. Like Calvin Ridley did that a few years ago. It wasn't bets on his games, but he just gambled on football. But we have had, like, multiple
instances.
Yeah, cases of NBA players betting, basically points shaving, essentially, to put it simply, in the NBA. The NFL's not had any scandals in that regard. Maybe it's happening, but we haven't seen it yet. But the NBA, it's happening over and over again. And we're having gambling rings discovered around the NBA, and the NBA doesn't have any counter to it. And then we have the tanking issue. They have literally, through their own policies, made tanking more desirable. And not done anything to help out the tanking teams, but instead have just fined them saying, oh, you're trying to make your team better? Please give us $500,000 for the privilege of, trying to make your team better.
Yeah, so the NBA, this happened shortly after we got off the air, issuing the $500,000 fine to Utah. And then Ryan Smith, owner of the Utah Jazz, shortly after seeing that, took to social media and said, agree to disagree. Also, we won the game in Miami and got fined. That makes sense. And then later had a clap back to Bobby Marks, who has said some of the most asinine stuff about this.
Yeah.
He says, hey, Bobby, maybe sit this one out. You have no clue what paying this is like, and your amnesia this week is comical. And Bobby Marks' comment that he's replying to was like, oh, this is just the new luxury tax in the NBA.
Yeah.
If guys want to on a tank to get a competitive advantage, this is what you do, and the NBA billionaire owner can pay the fine. And Ryan Smith's like, dude, you used to be in the front office. You know how these things work.
Yeah.
And while some people may look at $500,000 for a billionaire and think, oh, that's not much. No, these guys became billionaires because they know how to manage money, and just giving away $500,000 is not necessarily in their DNA.
Yeah. There's also the fact that billionaires, and not to simp for billionaires, I will not shed a single tear over Ryan Smith having to pay $500,000 for any reason, but they don't always have $500,000 of liquid cash just laying around.
No, it's not like they're Scrooge McDuck sitting on this pile of gold.
It's usually tied up in there. Like Ryan Smith's net worth is tied to the fact that he owns the Jazz.
Yeah,
he doesn't have
valuation of assets and things like that.
Yeah, but don't feel sorry one bit for Ryan Smith having to pay $500,000. He'll survive. But
I do appreciate that. Look, he's fighting back.
Yeah,
he's speaking out. Like this is silly.
Yeah, and Bobby Marks, like that is 100%. He was definitely one of the people that Oklahoma City sent a text to, said, "I need you to start saying this." Like this is a guy who was a former, like I think, assistant GM with the Nets or something like that. Very much has a buddy in the Oklahoma City front office who was ranting at him. And so Bobby Marks basically passed on that narrative to the audience on ESPN that he has. And it's just like, again, that's the kind of thing is you have these people that are puppets. You got Oklahoma City, moving the lips of Bobby Marks saying, all right, we hate the fact that Utah is going to take away our pick. And even though, again, Oklahoma City being massive hypocrites on that. Do need one clarification because 6391 clarifying and really correcting me because I mentioned Jaren Jackson Jr. being on a minutes restriction. I said that Lauri Markkanen wasn't on one as far as I was aware, but 6391 saying Will Hardy actually said Lauri was on a minutes restriction too. Said it on post game last night and then posting one from a source from Andy Larson.
So Utah's problem here is that they didn't effectively communicate that. Like if they had effectively communicated earlier, like announced these guys are on minutes restrictions, so don't be surprised if they don't play in the fourth quarter because they've met their minute restriction. Would everybody be losing their minds in the same way?
Well, it depends. Would Oklahoma City have been mad about it? Because again, that's why everyone's getting upset about it, is because Oklahoma City, a bunch of whiny people in their front office, decided to make a big stink about it and tell all of their buddies in the media. If they don't do that, a few tweets might have been like, well, what the heck is Utah doing sitting their starters in the fourth?
Having a 15-point lead and never calling a timeout.
And maybe somebody mentions it on a podcast, but it doesn't make it, it doesn't lead ESPN and Fox programming and all that. It would just quietly come and then go. Jaren Jackson Jr. has an injury, and people would have said the same things about, oh, how that's convenient. He trade for a star and then he's out for the rest of the season. But just like it flowed under the bridge for Indiana and Washington and
Washington traded for 2 All-Stars, and neither one of them are going to play the remainder of the season.
And nobody really talked about that a ton, so it wouldn't have happened really with Utah. But because Oklahoma City got a bee in their bonnet about not getting a top 10 pick, they decided to do a bunch of crap over it. Sam Presti decided he was going to be a massive hypocrite. He tanked to eventually get the title he has, but nobody else can tank. That's just pulling, the ladder up.
Okay for me, but not for thee.
6391 also pointing out Bobby Marks was the assistant GM of the Nets when Danny Ainge fleeced them for the picks that became Tatum and Brown. He's definitely got a vendetta against Ainge. Yeah, that's probably another motivation for Bobby Marks. We need to take a break. We got a few more texts coming in, so we'll get to those coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
This is Garrett with Cache Valley Bank. Life has a way of moving quickly. Kids growing up, students starting fresh, and business owners taking bold new steps. At Cache Valley Bank, we're here for all of it. Whether you're opening your first account, growing your business, saving for the future, or planning what comes next, we're proud to be your trusted financial partner right here at home. Cache Valley Bank. Real relationships, real solutions for every stage of life. Member FDIC.
Spend less time at the post office. With Formax and Mint mailing systems from Les Olson IT, you can quickly, accurately, and easily process your outgoing mail and even save on postage. Fold your documents, stuff and seal your envelopes, print addresses, weigh and measure to apply proper postage, all with the click of a button. With multiple model options available, you're sure to find a Formax solution and Mint mailing device that perfectly fits your business needs.
Les Olson IT.
If you live in Box Elder County, help for ear, nose, and throat issues just got a whole lot closer. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat is now open in their new Brigham City location. With over 75 years of combined provider experience, Dr. Jackson Deere is ready to care for allergies, asthma, sinus problems, hearing loss, and more. Finally, Cache Valley ENT in the Brigham City community at 990 South Medical Drive next to the Brigham City Hospital. Call 753-7880 to schedule or visit CacheValleyENT.com. Cache Valley ENT, trusted care now in Brigham City.
Over the past few years, strong and crazy weather patterns have battered various parts of the country. Northern Utah and southern Idaho are not immune from its share of wild weather. Be prepared for power outages with a Generac backup generator from Golden Spike Electric. They are your local source for Generac sales and service. Generac keeps you in control when bad weather strikes. Golden Spike Electric, powering your peace of mind. Online at gsegenerators.com or call 257-3016. They also service other models.
Northern Utah and Southern Idaho's home for sports. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Cache Valley's largest and most complete power sports service shop is now open at Young Power Sports Logan. They service all brands, all makes, all sizes, motorcycles, ATVs, UTVs, and more. No guesswork, no shortcuts. Just trained technicians who fix it right the first time. Can-Am, Kawasaki, Polaris, Ski-Doo, they handle them all in and out, done right, guaranteed. Pickup and delivery is available within a 25-mile radius. Get back on the road, the trail, or the track fast. Schedule your service now at 755-711-7111. I got to say that right. That's Young Power Sports Logan Service Department, 755-7111. And Young Power Sports Logan also sponsors our text line, and you can text that number, 435-339-0321. We have a few texts that come through in the last segment. 9-5, we're talking about Daytona. It says, flew in at the Daytona International Airport on Joker Airlines, and they somehow sent my luggage to the city of Columbus, South Carolina.
That's a bit of a difference.
Yeah, just a little different. That's why I've not checked bags very often when I've traveled, especially for work. Just take the carry-on and then the personal carry-on thing. Basically, that takes care of it. Of course, I'm usually not going anywhere for longer than like 2 or 3 days.
When we flew, I traveled. I had the opportunity to travel to Europe for Christmas.
Yeah, that's a pretty big trip for you.
Big deal. When we arrived at our destination, half of us didn't have our luggage. It got stuck in Chicago. So we had to wait multiple days for it to get from Chicago to Frankfurt up to Lithuania. So luckily we got it before we went on to our next destination. But
yeah.
It was, we had to make a trip to the department store to find some other clothes.
Yeah, that's a little inconvenient.
Yeah.
8968 saying, Adam Silver finally said, look, Daddy has told you not to do this, but did you listen? No, now Daddy's going to spank. Yeah, it's basically the NBA just trying to take it out on the Jazz. And now, of course, the Jazz, they're definitely not moving up in the lottery. That's not happening. And now I'm kind of convinced there is a 3.8% chance that the Jazz, their current spot in the lottery, would lose their pick to Oklahoma City. And that might as well be 100% right now. Like, they basically have to get to that pick number 4, that spot number 4 in the lottery, or they are losing their pick guaranteed. If they move to 5, it's a 0.6% chance. But with how mad the NBA is at the Jazz, they were mad last season. They fined them last year, and they fell from 1 to 5.
Yeah.
I don't believe in a whole lot of conspiracy theories, but this is one that there's a little too much convincing evidence. And the Jazz are basically at a 100% chance to fall to 9 or 10 unless they get into that top 4. Because if they're top 4, the pick cannot fall beyond number 8.
Yeah, the NBA has to get cameras in the room where they determine draft order.
Well, there are enough witnesses in there, but I don't know. It's just...
I just think there's just too many shenanigans and too many questions over the years with what the NBA is doing. But this is silly. And I guess one thing that's being floated today, apparently there's some sources indicating that Adam Silver is proposing basically a tournament, a mini tournament to determine draft order. And that's stupid. That is really stupid. Because if there are bad teams, legitimately bad teams, or teams that have main guys who are hurt, versus some teams that they've been sat a star or whatever. He had an injury, he couldn't play for a big chunk of time, then and suddenly he's back right before this tournament. It creates too many questions, and you want to try to improve viewability, not just for this mini tournament and then your postseason. You need to try to improve viewability for the entire season, not just for short windows. And that's been the NBA's problem. They try to come up with these gimmicks for short windows instead of improving the product for its entire season.
Yeah, and there's also this fact that I've suddenly lost my train of thought, but the thing that people they're trying to trump with these ideas of, have just a unweighted lottery for like all 30 teams. But the whole point of a draft and a reverse order draft is so that teams that are bad have recourse to becoming good. Like when you're in the NFL and you're a bad team, you get like a top 5 or 10 pick. And in the NFL, that's like a superstar player. Like you can get, if you need an offensive line, if the Patriots and you draft Will Campbell, then, you don't get a good player. But, theoretically, you get a player who becomes an instant starter, an instant impact player, and they're instantly part of your core. And with the draft, you can build quick enough to have a big turnaround. I mean, Patriots had a big turnaround. The Seahawks had a decent turnaround themselves from last year. Teams have gone from basically worst to first. You can't do that in the NBA, really. You can kind of come close if you get the right superstar player. The Spurs have taken basically 2 years since drafting Wemby to go from worst to essentially first, or battling with OKC for first. But yeah, it's just...
Yeah, San Antonio has the third best record in the NBA right now.
You need to have, if you're a bad team, like just a legitimately bad team, you can't then suddenly be picking 27th where you're lucky to get a rotation player then. You need to have bad teams picking high in the draft, but you need to find a way to incentivize them to at least still kind of try in the regular season. And we need to hit a break, but again, we've talked over and over about mechanics to do so.
Yeah, well, let me just say, you look at the NBA standings as of right now, coming to the All-Star break. Detroit's number 1, Oklahoma City number 2, San Antonio number 3. All 3 of those teams employed a tanking strategy to get the stars that are now leading their teams in the NBA. Like, the NBA just needs to be satisfied that, you know what? Tanking is going to happen. Let's not overthink this. It's going to happen.
Yeah, let teams tank, let them get their star, and then they'll stop tanking.
Let them develop their young players, give them minutes, and let's stop freaking out about this and just recognize this is going to happen because one player can dramatically change the fortunes of a team's franchise. You have to allow this to happen.
Yeah, just let some of the teams tank, let them get their top player, and then they rebuild.
Let them rebound.
And that's the cycle. It happens in the NFL. Happens in a lot of these sports. But the NBA just can't fathom that some teams need to rebuild. We got to take one more break. We'll be back after this. Finish up the show here on the Full Court Press.
Who do you turn to if you want to change out your wood or pellet stove? Advanced Fireplace and Stove. They were voted the gold medalist for Best of Northern Utah for the 5th year in a row in the fireplace retrofit category. Be ready when the government's next wood and pellet replacement incentives pop up. Advanced Fireplace can help you navigate the paperwork. For more information, call Advanced Fireplace and Stove, 752-7272. Online at advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
Snow and black ice are here to stay for a while. If your tires aren't ready, neither is your vehicle. At Express Auto and Tire, they work with all vehicles and all tire sizes, making winter traction and safety their top priority. Name brand tires are always less at Express Tire. As a Point S Tire location, you're backed by a nationwide warranty. Get winter ready with no appointment needed. 3200 North Main.
Express Tire, tires for less.
Where tires and service come together.
We're talking with Tyson from Mountain Valley Heating and Air Conditioning about air quality.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be surprised to learn that the air inside your home is 5 times worse than the air outside.
So Tyson, what can people do?
We install steam humidifiers into homes. Steam humidifiers use 1 gallon of water per hour, and they use 100% of that 1 gallon to humidify the air in your home. So if you call Mountain Valley, we'll come out and do a free assessment and see if it's a good fit for you. The phone number is 435-753-5170.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. This Valentine's Day, spend more time with your significant other in bed. Have romance, watch movies, sleep close. Do it on a brand new mattress from My Mattress and save money during our Valentine's Day sale. Oh, and get tickets to Lionheart Hall's Curtains and Cuisine Dinner Theater. It's the week of Valentine's Day for date night. Go to the dinner and show, have a nice mattress waiting for you when you get home for Valentine's Day. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
spend a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain, sleet, and mud. In 95, I helped tow your moving trailer. In 05, I helped you get out of a ditch. Yeah, I know I'm a bit rusty, and sadly in 09, it was sparks from me, your handy chains, dragging behind your truck that accidentally started a wildfire.
Sparks from dragging chains can start a wildfire. Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Batteries, headlights, wiper blades are all in stock and on sale now at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts store. Chemical Guys car wash and detailing kits are only $49.99. Pick up the last bags of Blue Heat Ice Melt at $10. Air fresheners, snow scrapers, shop towels, seafoam, and more. Again, it's all on sale at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores. They got locations from Preston all the way down to Providence. On the Young Power Sports of Logan text line, 935 had a few texts we didn't get to. We don't quite have time to go into those topics. Sorry, 9-15. We have a few things to get into. Ace Bailey playing this weekend, the only Jazzman involved in NBA All-Star festivities. He was a replacement for Cooper Flagg in the Rising Stars team.
Yeah, so he's on Team Mello. They play at 7 o'clock on Peacock if anybody wants to tune in. And if his team wins, then they will play for the championship at 8:35 for the Castrol Rising Stars Championship. So, good for him. It's good to be involved in those festivities. He's got guys like Reed Shepard, Dylan Harper, Donovan Clingan, Stephen Castle, Jeremy Fears, and Colin Murray Boyles, who are on his team. So he's got some good players to be with, and see how well he performs in the two games. One game, and if they win, they play for the championship. So.
Yeah, so a lot of complicated stuff for stuff I don't really care about. Although the Rising Stars, I'll be more invested in how the players perform in the Rising Stars, because with the All-Star, it's nobody really cares. I don't know. If you win MVP, that's kind of notable, but, when you're looking at your Rising players, you want your players on the Rising Star, because the bar for entry is a little low, but because half the decent rookies and sophomores get in, but still it shows that you have
a showcase
good young talent. Like Walker Kessler was in there a couple times, so
Deontay George has participated.
Yeah, so it's nice to have those guys in there, and hopefully they perform well. You just like to see it.
A bunch of high school playoff games going on tonight in our family of radio stations and our coverage of what's going on. Keep in mind, a number of these games are produced by other groups, so be wary. The play-by-play may not be like what we normally like.
It might actually be better than what I normally do.
But we're going to have them on our family of radio stations, ways to watch those games. Green Canyon, Ridgeline, Skyview, and Logan all in action tonight for boys, and tomorrow Green Canyon, Mountain Crest, and Ridgeline. All those girls' games start at 1. And we'll have those games covered on Cache Valley Daily, ways to watch those games, all of those games mentioned, and listen on our family radio stations tonight and tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, a lot happening this weekend. Utah State men's basketball, a lot of high school basketball available on our Utah State basketball in general, men's and women's, available on our family of radio stations. That's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for listening here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM The Fan. It's been us with the Full Court Press.
Sports Talk Radio, KLGN Logan, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, and online at 1069thefan.com.